Exodus: Become the Traveler is an upcoming sci-fi RPG from many developers that had previously worked at BioWare. Notable leaders of Archetype Entertainment, the studio behind Exodus, are James Ohlen, who worked at BioWare as a lead designer for 22 years, Chad Robertsen, who worked on Star Wars The Old Republic as technical director, and Drew Karpyshyn, who is a designer on Baldur's Gate 2, Neverwinter Nights, and the lead writer on Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, and Mass Effect 1 and 2. These are the kind of people that you want working at your studio. I don't know about other people that are watching this, but I grew up on those games. Those are some of the best games that I've ever played, to be honest. Old BioWare was a fantastic developer. They've also picked up some top-tier acting talent with the voice of Matthew McConaughey. The extent of that voice acting is not perfectly clear yet, but he did say he will have a unique relationship with every player when he presented the game at the Game Awards, which kind of suggests to me that he'll have a role that follows the player for some time and isn't just like a one-off, like Skyrim and the Emperor. Like, it sounds more like he's going to be there for a bit. Maybe he'll be a narrator or something like that, or a recurring character. Exodus: Become the Traveler is a story about time dilation. You, as the Traveler, are tasked with guiding humanity as we move throughout time. It's a game about impact. You'll be making decisions as you're moving through time that change the fate of humanity in big ways. James Ohlen has confirmed the story is non-linear, so that probably means there are a good amount of branching paths based on the decisions that you make. They've also said they were inspired by franchises like Interstellar, Dune, and Star Wars, and as for games, they were inspired by Tomb Raider, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Naughty Dog's games like The Last of Us and Uncharted. So those are really big productions, massive production value, which kind of suggests that Exodus is going for that as well. They're trying to be way up there in terms of presentation. And so far, the trailers pretty much reflect that. The premise is that 40,000 years ago, humans were forced to abandon Earth, which was dying, and they left Earth in these large arc ships looking for a habitable galaxy. And they ended up finding one, which is Omega Centauri, a globular cluster. They've said that there are very specific reasons why they chose that location in particular. I'm guessing that means a globular cluster instead of like a normal galaxy, like a spiral galaxy. They didn't really say what those reasons were, but there is a reason. Humans are not the big dogs in this particular section of the universe. At first, they're struggling to even survive at all. Then they start fighting each other, so that leads to a whole bunch of different wars, which is a very human thing to do. Over the course of thousands of years, various empires rise and fall, with the galactic wars rising throughout. Eventually, a new kind of human emerges called the Celestials. They called them a transhuman. These Celestials establish order to the chaos. And one group in particular, called the Elohim, take control for around 5,000 years, a period of great prosperity. But all civilizations eventually fall, and although it isn't clear why, the Elohim vanish into the shadows, leaving a vacuum for other empires to rise and take their place. So there's a little bit of a mystery there for us to kind of work through. They're working to create a good balance between story and gameplay, so don't expect it to be a 100% story game or 100% gameplay game the entire time. I would expect something more along the lines of, a Mass Effect or something like that. Becoming a traveler means that you leave everything you knew behind, because of the nature of jumping forward through time and not being able to jump back, I assume. Everyone that you knew will quickly be gone. That's something that the traveler has to deal with, and it sounds like dealing with it will be one of the major themes of the game. But you don't have to deal with that alone. They've said you'll have a group of characters that you travel with, and they've already revealed some of those companions. One of those is Tom Vargas, a veteran traveler who worked on a crew doing various missions. Sounded like kind of a mercenary or something like that. After that happened, and his crew was killed, he met travelers who pulled him into their team, which led to him becoming a traveler himself. There wasn't a whole lot on Tom Vargas, but seems like an interesting character. There's also Elise Shiro, who is described as the muscle you want by your side for any encounter. She has her own large mech, which brings with it a ton of firepower. She definitely has the willpower to use it. Apparently, she still remembers Earth, though her memories of it are fragmented. For me, this is one of my more highly anticipated games, though not really sure when it will actually come out. It could be, who knows, it could be years before it comes out. It could be a couple years. But yeah, these are some of the developers that I grew up with, who made the games that I grew up loving. And they have the backing of Wizards of the Coast, who funded Baldur's Gate 3, one of the greatest games of all time in the last couple of years. Whether it will live up to that, who really knows, has yet to be seen, but I think the outlook for the game is pretty good. As long as those particular developers are involved, I can't really see them tying themselves to a failing product. I like the idea of the non-linear sci-fi narrative. It's something that hasn't really been attempted at the AAA level that often, if ever. I can't really think of a very non-linear sci-fi game. Depending on how non-linear they take it, you know. It could be that it just has parts that are branching, but it sounds like it's going to be fairly non-linear. So may have been something that's never happened yet. Something that hasn't happened at the AAA level, just to be very clear, because there are plenty of games that are, you know, indie games that, or smaller studios that have done non-linear sci-fi. Personally, I would just be satisfied with a game as good as Mass Effect, with a bit less linearity. Or honestly, pretty linear. Like, I don't really care too much, as long as this is a really cool game. But I like the idea. I think it's a good idea and something that definitely has the potential to be something great.